Hey, it's Mark Goodman here.
And I'm Alan Light.
Welcome to Sound Up. This is our new podcast designed to be your direct connection to all things music and the place where you, the audience, are able to get in on the action and be heard.
We do 2 shows every week. Both feature up-to-the-minute news, new releases, guests, and whatever we know you need to know about the world of music. On the Tuesday episode, the first of the week, we also dive deep into a big topic, discuss it with a special guest who can give us the best perspective on what it all means.
Then on our second show, it's Sound Up, Sound Off. This is where you join the convo live during our Wednesday taping or by reaching out to us at connect@sounduppod.com. Leave us a voice message, emails, social media posts. Join the Sound Up community at www.sounduppod.com. On today's show, it's our Grammy review. We've got your comments, new music picks, and more. So let's get to it.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
Welcome to Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light. And today we have our full Grammy Awards review.
Complete with commentary from you guys, the Sound Up community. A lot of social media posts, a lot of texting going on last night. Lots of real-time Grammy reaction that we can pass along as we go through here.
We also have news on Killer Mike, big night for him, Kerry King, J-Lo, and our new music picks of the week.
But really, it's all about the Grammys. Music's biggest night, like it or not.
Indeed.
So that's what we need to get into here. And I guess, Mark, let's just sort of start big picture here. What do you think? They pull off a good show this time?
Well, I think yes. I think it was the most entertaining show I've seen in a few years. And despite what Jay-Z may think, I thought that there was a lot of great stuff that happened, a lot of great performances, and like Kool and the Gang say, it's ladies' night. It was a great one. What about you?
So much to talk about. I'll tell you, I saw a lot of posts that said best Grammys in 10 years, best Grammys in a long time. There's so many levels to respond to a show like this. If we are talking about a network television show running through primetime hours, did they make a good show out of it? I would say overwhelmingly, I think they did. You know, what's interesting is they spent so many years, we're going to make Grammy moments. Right. That was always the pitch. We're going to do a special thing which mostly always kind of fell flat or forced, or sometimes were great, but, could be a lot of things. There were obviously a few moments last night that everybody really was talking about and everybody really did react to. I know that we all live in our own social media silos, so we say everybody responded. It's everybody who we talk to anyway, which is not a representative sampling of the world in any way. But there were things that universally people responded to last night. And, we'll come around to all of these things, but certainly the Joni Mitchell performance and the Tracy Chapman and Luke Combs performance, I think were grand slam, unforgettable things that happened on that show that are going to leave a long mark. I just think before you even get to awards, you have to kind of start talking about those.
Agreed. I mean, I don't want to sound like a jerk here. I saw this, a little comic that someone posted, and it was baby boomers watch the Grammys, and it was a husband and wife, and they're each going, who? Joni Mitchell? And I saw Joni Mitchell at this little club called the Main Point in Philadelphia when she first released an album. That performance last night took me back to that. It took me back to that moment, and to see a woman who has triumphed, I mean, really triumphed over so much adversity, so many physical challenges. And it wasn't just, okay, give her the benefit. It was a moving performance. I was crying.
It was an astonishing moment. Everybody was crying. And seeing her, sir, I mean, this is the way that Brandi Carlile has brought Joni back, surrounded by all of her disciples, by all of these young artists with so much love that's visible and audible. And seeing the audience, I mean, Joni has now had that moment that transcends. It's not nostalgia. Dua Lipa watching Joni Mitchell is not nostalgia.
100%.
It's about a different kind of a power. And what a magnificent, I mean, obviously it's not the voice that she had 50 years ago.
But it was okay still. It was
no. I think it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was, she's a jazz singer, and it was all in the phrasing. I mean, on the one hand, you sort of think like, oh, Both Sides Now, kind of too obvious. And then you listen to the words of Both Sides Now and you can't stop crying. I was a mess.
Yeah.
I was just a mess.
There was certain lines that we've heard for all of these years that really jumped out last night.
God, yes.
Oh.
To pull that off. She just announced 2 nights at the Hollywood Bowl in October, if you saw that.
Yeah.
So hopefully continuing to feel stronger and able to perform more and do more is great. But, when she came out to accept her award in the pre-show,
right,
which I watched pretty much all of the pre-show yesterday, as you see, she walks with a cane. Mm-hmm. She walks very slowly and she's clearly still very fragile. But as Brandy said in introing her for the performance last night, Joni Mitchell has had to learn to walk 3 times. This is somebody who survived polio and then survived what recent years have been for her, survived a brain aneurysm. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. That was just beyond. And if nothing else, if the Grammys provided an opportunity and a platform for that performance, what more can I possibly ask from them? And I could say a lot of the similar things about the Tracy Chapman return that sort of helped kick off, Dua Lipa kicked it off, but was really sort of the thing that drove that show home last night.
To see both of them looking back over at each other, to see when Tracy was singing and he's mouthing the words to the songs, you know where he was in his head. He was back in that truck.
And to see the cuts to the audience and everybody singing along.
Yeah.
The notion that it is, obviously within the country community, it's a song this year, was a #1 hit. But to see how that song connects with different generations, different genres, different listeners, and you could see it as they cut, throughout that performance. To see Tracy Chapman up there smiling in that way, clearly relishing the fact that she was getting this moment and this recognition, somebody who's really retreated from the spotlight, somebody who didn't like the spotlight even when she had it, but to see the recognition and to see what that meant to her. And just to see what that song, to see what Fast Car continues to mean, continues to connect when you're dealing with that level of greatness of a song. What do you say? And I saw so many people posting basically, I was getting ready to talk shit about the Grammys and I'm just going to shut up now.
Right. In terms of performances, they went with Dua opening. And I was sort of a little dubious about it because it felt to me like your typical Grammy opening, the big number.
Big spectacle, big.
Yeah. I don't mean to diss Dua Lipa at all. I think it was a fine performance and the whole bombast, but the show went up from there.
I love Dua Lipa. Have championed Dua from the beginning. It was a tricky strategic moment, is what I will say. She put out the first single from this project was Houdini, whenever that was, a couple months. And it kind of fizzled. That song did okay, but it did not do what the big Dua singles did. It did not do what the future nostalgia songs did. They went pretty quickly to the new single, Training Season.
Yeah.
But that performance it was weird that it split the different. It was sort of introducing Training Season for like a verse and a chorus, and then going back to Houdini. It's sort of like right now, you got to commit. Are you trying to keep Houdini? You're trying to keep a pulse around that single? Or was this the launch of the new single?
Exactly.
And I feel like neither of them really resonated.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it had the moment of, here's the new Dua song for the first time, because it was part of it. And I don't feel like it had, hey, we're going to still try and make Houdini into the hit we think it should be. I just think that kind of fell flat. The performance was okay. The staging, the athleticism of the staging was fine.
Right.
I don't think it really connected because I think you had to pick a lane and they didn't really do that.
Miley Cyrus. Holy moly, Miley Cyrus.
If you want to stay, at some point we should talk awards, but we can stay in performances.
I thought I wanted to run across a couple because the performances, look, I think.
Well, that's really what this show is now about.
Exactly.
They said that, I think even a couple of years ago, Trevor, our host, Trevor Noah, sort of said, we're doing a concert with some, where we're giving some awards away.
Right.
Like that's what it's become, which is fine, is great. God love Miley. All of a sudden, why did she look like a 46-year-old? Like, what what?
What, the hair blowback thing?
The hair blown back and the wardrobe was like we just jumped about 25 years in Miley Cyrus here.
It's funny. The people I was watching with were going, "How old is she? Is she like 35, 37? How old is she? What is she, 31, 32?
Something
like that. But come on. She was phenomenal. She was everything that you want from Miley Cyrus, aside from the great night that she was about to have. How great was she?
Can I read? I see there were some posts speaking to these guys that I want to read while we're in this.
Yeah.
Carrie Brown tweeted, "Loved Miley's performance of Flowers. Take that, Liam." Lana posted, I don't know where these are from. These are pulled from our various social media. "Miley, that's how you perform live." And I was glad to read that we were all crying happy tears together watching Tracy Chapman perform her iconic song with Luke Combs.
What did you think when Miley, sort of dipped down into that whole Tina Turner number?
Well, that, but also all the asides and all the silly, like clearly talk about singing live and showing that you're singing live was all that was off script, including the "don't act like you don't know this song" thing or whatever she said at the top. Celeste tweeted, "Fantastic Grammys. Spirit was right, honoring legends. New generation, so many great performances. Two standouts were Joni and Tracy Chapman. Miley was great. SZA, my favorite artist from last year. It was a great night. We'll come back on SZA. Miley's Flowers was excellent," said Davian. So a lot of love for Miley from you guys. And I did okay. I did call that for the Record of the Year prize, by the way.
Yeah, you did.
That was my picks were
surprise.
Fairly on point.
I think you were pretty close to the four that we picked. We'll go through them, but I think maybe you missed one.
I at least I hedged some of them, but I at least nodded to all the ones that won.
Right.
Miley and Mariah is a certain sort of a site, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know. New and old. I don't know. What'd you feel about it?
Listen, say what you will. At the Grammys, you had Taylor, Beyonce, Mariah, Celine,
that was a big one.
Everybody turned up for this, which not always a guarantee.
Yeah.
Some years like the stars come out, some years the stars don't. There was more energy, not just in the staging, but also just in interest in and people looking at and talking about the awards, whatever that means.
Right.
Whatever that means. As we've said, award shows are kind of, in some ways, the last thing that happened live other than sport events, even if it's something that we're all living on social media watching reaction to, but that you don't want to be late with your reaction to an outfit or a speech or a performance. So maybe that gives them additional juice, than there was a few years ago. I don't know.
I mean, there's a ton of performances to talk about. Do you want to sort of jump back and forth? Do you want to talk about some of the wins?
Yeah. I think we could be a little bit all over the road because they bleed into each other, but let's...
I was saying, jokingly, but it's, I think what everybody is talking about in response to the criticism of the last, decade, it was Ladies' Night last night. Best rock song, Not Strong Enough. A huge win, I think, for those women.
Phoebe Bridgers won the most awards of anybody last night.
The most, right.
Phoebe had 4 trophies, 3 for the Boy Genius album.
Right. And I saw, and did this come out last night or yesterday or during the weekend? I can't remember now. They announced, we're going away for a while. Boy Genius.
Yeah.
They're bailing.
They're going to go back to the solo careers for a while, which is fine. You said Best Rock, Boy Genius won Best Rock Song. Paramore, their first ever Grammy Awards, 2 trophies for Paramore.
Who are going to turn up in new music for me.
Okay, well, tip your hand. Tip your hand. Yeah, no question. And we're only a few years removed from the women need to step up moment. I mean, whatever, again, what's the cause and effect? There's a lot of, bounce back and forth between a different sensitivity and awareness of that and what that, I don't think, women are making better records than they were a couple of years ago.
Right.
It's
on.
ridiculous.
That's right.
But the recognition has clearly shifted to recognizing and understanding that.
The best pop duo group performance goes in the machine, SZA and Phoebe.
Yeah, that was Phoebe's 4th trophy.
Just amazing. Amazing. And Miley for Best Pop Solo. What else? What stuck out to you in terms of the awards? Aside from the top 4?
We've said this before. There are the ways to make an impact on the Grammys. Winning one award is really nice and is a sort of a recognition or whatever, it doesn't move the needle particularly. The things that really change your standing are if you win the armful of the trophies and you're the big headline of the night. There wasn't one of those. The big awards were all split between different artists. There wasn't the, triumphant shot of Norah Jones or Carlos Santana with the armful of prizes that becomes a story unto itself. Or big performances, which, we'll continue to talk about, or being Taylor Swift and breaking huge news from the Grammy podium. And I think the things that people will come away talking about are not who won any of the awards here, but all of the other sort of newsy moments. And certainly it continues to be Taylor's world,
yes,
in ways that none of the rest of us can imagine.
Was it Lindsay Havens? I think the answer to any question these days is Taylor Swift. You remember from our show last week?
Seems to be true. So I'm not going to I could do 45 minutes doing this, but
yes,
let's walk through the day for us Taylor fans. In the morning, we woke up to her switching all of her photos on social media to black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And the immediate reaction from everybody was she's going to announce the Reputation Taylor's version tonight, which with the black and white color scheme, right. That's what's coming. Everyone was braced for that. She showed up in the black and white dress. Everybody was braced for that. And then from the stage announces a new album. Now we know she has said that Reputation is going to be the next Taylor's version that's going to happen. She has not said it would be the next project from me. There was always the possibility there'll be a new album before I go back to doing one of the releasing one of the re-records. So that's what we got. And new album in April, and the whole world goes crazy. I will say I was in 5 simultaneous Taylor threads last night.
and in our thread.
Plus a thread with you guys while I was talking to my friend Abigail, my friend Alice, our dear friend Kerry, our friend Madison, my friend Jen, and her daughter. As I say all of that, I realized I was spending a lot of time talking to a lot of younger women in my text last night, and I'm glad that my wife understands what all of this is about. That sounds weird when I say it, but that's where we are. And everybody's super excited. But of course, then the question is, she said from the stage, this is a secret. This album is a secret I've been keeping from you for 2 years. So what does that mean? That means this isn't the Travis album. That means this isn't even really the Joe breakup album. So what era are we swimming in? And of course, it means she's going to have to shift off the set list for the tour once we hit album release, because now it ends on Midnights as the new album, as the album she's most there's going to have to be recognition of the new. So all of that, is she presumably working on all that now? As always, raises as many questions as it answers, but super excited for what comes next, as always. And what comes next, of course, is next week in Las Vegas for Super Bowl. So we still have that to look forward to.
Right, she is playing the Super Bowl from the box to end the speculation.
Some would have you believe. Some would have you believe.
What do you think, Roger?
She won 2 awards last night, but did she know she was winning that award? Because if she doesn't win, does she not make this announcement? If she doesn't go on stage at the Grammys, does she not drop this album news?
That is a fair question.
True.
Although you would also say if she knew, she would have held back and announced it when she won album at the end. Mm-hmm. If you're fully playing that game, right. Why would you do that when you win early, for the thing, and sort of that steamrolls the night? It's a fair question.
I thought it was great that the 2 people who made grand late entrances were her and Meryl Streep.
I was going to ask you guys what you thought about that. Was Meryl genuinely late? I mean, Trevor was covering for her. Oh, and sitting in this seat soon when she gets here. And same thing with Taylor. I never know, is that staged, or are they, stuck backstage doing interviews, or are they just making the grand entrance?
Taylor got there, watching her on the carpet. She was still outside seconds before the show. So I don't think that was faked. I think that they may have worked it out for the bit. They may have known that was happening.
Right.
But I don't think that, it was fully, that was maybe work backing into a bit from the reality of how that was going to play out. What do we think about, I'll say, Trevor Noah was fine. Why do we still need hosts for these?
I don't mind having a traffic cop there. You're right. We can have an artist throw to the next presenter and so on. It's true.
It just feels like it eats time.
Yeah.
They've done that before, though, and it didn't really work,
I didn't like that way. I agree. Roger.
They did it the year that it was all the COVID year, right? When it was the whole other construct. To me, it's a waste of time. They are already doing they're already doing packages. They're already doing, they can cover when they need to cover. And he's no fight with Trevor. I don't think he did a bad job of it, but it feels very old fashioned and kind of weird to me at this point.
That's what the Grammys is, though. It is has that old and new feel. I did like his kind of little wink at the Madonna thing when he said, "This is the only concert that starts on time." That was kind of funny.
I kind of love that.
No, there were lines that were good, but yeah. I don't know. That to me feels at this point like it unnecessarily slows things down. It's not the hill I'm going to die on. Here's who I feel bad for. I feel bad for Casey Musgraves. Because Casey announced a new album last night that people were excited about for about 6 minutes until Taylor announced a new album last night.
But didn't she announce it in a commercial? Not even on the show?
She announced it in a commercial. She announced it right after she presented. There was a commercial, and all her socials and everything else went for that. And there was a little bit of ripple of that, of new Casey. I mean, she won Album of the Year a couple of years ago. And then that was just stomped on.
You live in Taylor Swift world. What can you do? You do the best that you can.
I don't think there's any sense that Taylor was doing that to Bigfoot Casey Musgraves.
No.
But I felt bad because I felt like she wanted to have a moment there and didn't really get to have it.
So other awards. Now, before we haven't gotten to the big four, to our big four. I'm just sort of scrolling through some of the winners and reminding myself. Do you want to mention for a moment who won Best Rap Album? What a night Killer Mike had. Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, there were some big pre-show sweeps. A few awards for Chris Stapleton in the country categories. Again, Boy Genius win a bunch of stuff. Killer Mike sweeps the rap categories. And then backstage was arrested and led off the premises in handcuffs, apparently on an assault misdemeanor charge for some confrontation on location at the Grammys last night.
Who was it with?
I don't know. I don't know any other. I haven't seen any other details beyond the address for the report filed was like the street, the street leading into the crypto center,
right?
And that there was some confrontation, and that's what that was. He was, released later in the night, but
he's just trying to grab headlines. I think it was a stunt.
The fact
I'm going to get arrested.
The speeches that he gave were about you can grow old and still make rap records. They said this is a young man's game. You can continue. You could be in, you can be in the nursing home and still be making hip hop. Like that's the thing. It was such a not maturing of the form, but this notion of you can be an adult and it's still important to be a voice in this space, which as an activist and all the other things that Mike is, was an important thing, but you doubling, tripling the irony of then immediately, getting led from the room in handcuffs. So that's interested to hear more.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It was weird even before the show started to be seeing breaking news of Killer Mike arrested on site backstage at the Grammys.
Alan, I was curious as I sort of was in and out on the pre-show, but really got more of a rundown today on that. But I was thrilled to see that Zach Bryan and Casey Musgraves won with a song that I have had on repeat forever. But I Remember Everything is just one of those incredible moments, recorded moments, and was thrilled. I was surprised, though. I guess I felt like Zach Bryan was going to have more time. I thought he was going to show up a bit more than he did.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny relationship with the Grammys and with sort of all music institutions. I was surprised that he was there.
It's true.
It's not the kind of thing. He did come to the CMAs, I guess, but then he didn't win. So, he's definitely made this career on being the kind of guy who doesn't show up for awards shows, whatever it represented that he was there. Yeah, I was thrilled at that one. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. And again, because there's no real machine pushing for him, he's distributed through Warner Brothers, but isn't even really signed to Warner Brothers. As we've said, doesn't really have management. That's the whole thing that he's doing. But it's definitely, you see that when the awards shows come and he's not honored the way that I think he deserves to be, that he didn't win, that he wasn't nominated for Best New Artist last year. He didn't win. I can't remember. He may have been nominated. He clearly should have won that award. But, you know, that's the game you play.
So what else stood out to you in terms of...
Well, there's the last couple awards to deal with. And then there's, you know, sort of one other... I don't know whether we talk Jay-Z first or we talk the other awards first, because in some ways I think they're related.
They're related. I agree. Let's talk about some of the other awards, and we'll bring in Jay-Z's. Jay-Z was a badass. Jay-Z did what we hoped he would do. He was filling in for Kanye, I think, on the awards.
It was the better, definitely on the better side of Kanye would do that. But just to finish it, so we've said Miley won Record of the Year for Flowers, as we noted. Taylor won Album of the Year for Midnights, as we noted. Song of the Year, the Songwriters Award, went to Billie Eilish and Phineas for the Barbie song, which I think we'll hear from again at the Oscars.
Mm-hmm. Fingers crossed on that, yeah.
And Billie, a big, you know, however many years in a row now she's been winning in the big categories at the Grammys. The Grammys love Billie Eilish. And she was great and weird as ever.
Right. I was cool she was wearing the Barbie jacket. I thought that was kind of
Barbie
funny.
jacket was nice.
And I'll just, in 2 seconds, just to mention, because I only noticed one shot of Kylie Minogue in the audience, who I have a soft spot for. And she won.
So she did win. Yeah, she did win one of the one of the dance
for best
categories.
Pop dance.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. I was happy to see that. I mean, she's from another era in a way, and to see her, you know, show up and win was great, I thought.
Billie's performance, which was quite nice. What was going on with some of the audio in that room from the speeches and in her performance and in some of the quieter performance, there was so much room noise.
Right. And wasn't it Casey Musgraves who was intro?
Her speech, her intro, and some of the others where you were getting all the sound from the room.
Yeah.
In the stage mic that was weird. And on the Billie Eilish song, which especially at the beginning is this very whispery, very quiet song, there was just all this racket going on.
The side note on that really is that was it the B team in the control booth? Because, you know, in the In Memoriam segment, like out of nowhere, you know, pops up a picture, you know, of somebody who was not supposed to be there just yet.
Yeah, they hit the wrong button to start that. It is true.
And then there was a big dead spot, I think, between that and the next moment, the next event.
Yeah, we'll just mention the fourth of the big 4 awards. Best New Artist went to Victoria Monet.
You called it.
I thought Noah Kahan was going to win, but the conventional wisdom was that Victoria Monet was going to win.
Oh, is that true? Oh, I thought you picked Victoria Monet.
No. My vote was for War and Treaty.
Uh-huh.
My pick was Noah Kahan, saying that most people are picking Victoria Monet.
Right.
And that I thought there might be enough split between a couple of the R&B singers that Noah Kahan might slip in there. But I faked myself out of it in that. I will be honest, I have to spend more time with the Victoria Monet record. I really... I know the singles, but people love that record. Our friend Jimmy Jam, who was one of the presenters in the pre-show last night and showed up playing at one point, he's a big fan of that record. He's talked it up to me a lot, and I need to really sit with it and see if it's as strong as its champions say that it is.
And I was watching with 2 women, and that artist and that album. They were both, wow. I think I'm a fan. I have to go back to this. And for the women that I was with, SZA, who was stunning, I thought, last night. And that album is great. And I think some people are going to go, wow, I'm going to have to go and check that out.
So let's talk about SZA. And let's talk about SZA by way of talking about Jay-Z. Because I'm seeing a lot of different responses to Jay-Z's speech. People who are very excited and supportive of him standing up and saying, Grammys, we love you, we support you. It's in the spirit of we want to see you get things right and we want to see you do things better. And said, noting that there's a particular artist who he did not name, who happens to be his wife, who has the most Grammys of all time, but has never won an Album of the Year award.
That little fact.
And I've seen plenty of people posting, get over it. And saying, don't get up there and complain. And was this really, they give you this Lifetime Achievement Award and you say all the things that are wrong with the Grammys. But I will just point out on that same night that he says that, SZA is the artist who received the most nominations and won in none of the general categories.
Yeah.
And I just leave you with that. Last night was the 20th anniversary of the last time a hip hop album won Album of the Year. 20 years since Outkast won for Speaker Box Love Below.
Yeah.
And still, SZA comes in there with 9 nominations and wins in the genre categories. And it remains an issue. There's no way around it. And of course, I love Taylor. I'm not going to complain about Taylor winning Album of the Year, but there's always, year in and year out, an excuse to not give the Black artists the awards. And that is what Jay was talking about. And you still have to listen to it. You still have to hear it. And I don't know what else there is to say. Was that the right platform? You know what? Yeah, it was the right platform.
Yeah. And done in the right way. I mean, as you say, it was, look, we love you, but, you're trying, but. And I wonder, in terms of that, look, it's for those big awards, everybody votes, right?
That's the point.
I mean, is it racist or is it the nature of the body of the Academy? Do you know what I mean?
How do you? Those are the same question. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what do you say? There's not an answer to that. There's obviously not one answer to that. It is a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
It is a pattern that repeats for year after year, decade after decade. And look, what is the voting body? This is always an issue for any of these awards shows, right? Or for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or for anything. How do you not get caught in sort of a feedback loop of the people who are in the industry who need to change are the ones who vote for the things that would change the industry? NARAS has been, very open about trying to address that stuff. They've clearly gotten much better, as we've noted. They've clearly gotten much better addressing the gender gap for these awards and for this recognition. They've gotten better on some of the, adding different categories, doing different things to try to continue to diversify, continue to bring in different members to vote, which is really what it is that changes this, is who becomes a NARAS member and gets a Grammy vote. But the biggest, I don't know if this is still true. For a long time, I think it was sort of understood the biggest voting block for Grammy voters was in Nashville, because it's still where there's still there's still a studio system. There's still all the songwriters. There's still a huge music industry community that's there. That may or may not still be true, but keeping in mind that, that community is a big, substantial, is that a community, that community has diversified, but has plenty of issues they're still trying to sort out themselves.
Yeah.
And so how does that manifest in the general categories? But for, I would just say for people who didn't really get what Jay-Z was talking about, or, thought, well, we're over that, or we're past that, or here we are recognizing you with this special award. Look, that's an award that was created to compensate for people who haven't been sufficiently recognized by the Grammy. That is a made-up award to try to clean up. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. That's, every
better
institution.
than doing nothing.
It's better than doing nothing. And it still is, a name on the wall. It still goes down as a win. It still counts in all of those ways. But the issues that he raises are absolutely not issues that are over.
Yeah, for sure. One we haven't mentioned, I know we went through the big awards, Jack Antonoff.
Yeah.
Jack Antonoff.
And it was the first year that Producer of the Year was a general vote, by the way.
Oh, is that right? I didn't realize that. Uh-huh.
Producer of the Year and Songwriter of the Year. There are now 6 categories that all members can vote in. Songwriter of the Year is new. That was added last year. Producer of the Year has been opened up to full everybody's vote.
Right.
So Jack Antonoff did win that once again. And I think, again, there's good and bad things about making that a everybody votes. more voters have heard of Jack Antonoff and heard of those big records that he produced than Hit Boy or than Daniel Nigro, who made the Olivia Rodrigo. We haven't talked about Olivia's performance, made the Olivia Rodrigo album and actually got my vote for producer of the year. But, you know, what are you going to say? Jack produced the Taylor album. It won album of the year. He produced the Lana album. The track record certainly does speak for itself.
We're going to take a break here, but you're right. We haven't talked about the stunning Olivia Rodrigo performance. And there's quite a bit more. There's some news of the night that we want to get to.
Some other big performances, U2 from Vegas.
And didn't Billy Joel play last night?
And the whole in memoriam thing I want to talk through. And we need to read through some of your listener comments here as well.
All right, let's take a break right here, and we will be back after these words. Stay.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
We are back. Sound Up is what you're listening to. We thank you for joining us. We're in the midst of a review of an incredibly great night, ladies' night at the Grammys. A lot of great performances, and there's a couple that we haven't touched on. Again, I was sitting with my wife and a great friend of ours, another woman, not boomers, and one was about Olivia. What? There's something on her face. What's that on her face? And I'm like, the song is called Vampire. Have you seen the video? But really, for a woman, what is she, 20? Jesus.
Whatever she
That's
is.
incredible. Yeah. She is so self-possessed and just stunned, I thought.
Love her. Love all of it. And
as you say, Alan, I give you tons of credit because you were on the full album right away. It took me a minute.
The first one and this one, and you know, and the ability to translate that live.
Yep.
And the ability to translate that to, you know, video performance and TV performance, which is different than live performance. Look, I don't think it's a sort of game-changing performance for Olivia Rodrigo, but I think it continues to reinforce that it's an artist really, really worth continuing to pay attention to.
For sure.
She just does everything right. So they built up to the Billy Joel performance in a big way, which, by the way, I understand the semantics may be different. When they sent the press release last week announcing the new single, the press release said his first new single in 17 years. On the show, it very much became his first new single in 30 years.
Right.
Now, I don't know if that's exactly what's a single versus when his last release was, whatever it is. But
so they're talking about what was it, Christmas in Fallujah?
Almost double the time
right.
that had passed.
Right. Where is that metric coming from? Christmas in Fallujah, I thought was his last single, which was what, 2007 or 8 or something like that?
That's the 17 years. Yeah. So I'm not here to fact check them. It's just an interesting, that was within a couple of days, that number shifted dramatically. They built that up. It was the closing performance and then he played everybody out. Granted, everybody's exhausted by that time anyway, but did it live up to all the build up for that performance?
You know, I think everyone watching, and I'm gauging by my, the people who were in my audience, everybody was waiting for this guy to put out a new song, and everybody was thrilled when it did. And the response, by the way, I've played it on the channels that I'm working on Sirius, and they're oldies channels that I'm working on, and I got so much email, so much on my socials. Everybody loves this Billy Joel song, and he did a fine job of it. It seemed like his voice was even lower in the live performance. I mean, it's something we noticed on the record itself. But still, I thought it was great, though. I loved it.
I'm curious to see. I saw a fair amount of meh reaction as it was happening live. But look, I don't know what, on the one hand, sure, if you got new music in you, do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and go for it. On the other hand, I have no idea what happens in the world when there's a new Billy Joel song. If you're playing it and getting response to it, then I guess that's the win.
Well, what I'm curious about is what regular terrestrial radio will make of it. I don't see a top 10 single here. I don't know.
The question is, what will TikTok make of it? The question is, what will
Well, wait a
the
second.
things that
What album is he's on? Columbia. Let me see. Are they allowed to use his music?
they're allowed to use his music. That still is out there. It is funny to look at Billy Joel, just to look at the close up on Billy Joel and say, that guy is one of the biggest rock stars of all time. Look at that. Good for him. No.
What about his quick segment with Trevor?
I don't know. Yeah, well, whatever that was. So that, and then the other legends we had beamed in from Vegas, not live, were the gentlemen of U2.
Yeah.
You went to the show. You've seen the show. I have not gone. How did you feel that represented the Sphere experience?
I think probably as well as they possibly could. It's hard. It opened. And I don't think people realize it opened with an outdoor shot of the Sphere. Yes. And I don't think people realize that. And then they sort of cut to the inside, and it's hard to understand. They're on this little stage, and they spend a lot of time on Bono and on the performance, on Edge and so on. So, and really what you need for Sphere is you need to be able to not only look at the performers, you need to be able to look up at the ceiling, because it's happening there too. It's happening all over. I couldn't understand how they were going to make that translate to television anyway.
In the attempt, I would have my recommendation would have been keep the camera more static, and maybe from one position move up and down more rather than do a lot of cutting, because there's already I just didn't get any sense of space or of what's in there, and I there may be no way to do it. I mean, that may be the whole point of the Sphere thing, but it certainly didn't clarify for me what it is to go inside that thing.
Yeah, it was the shoot itself. The way that they shot it was like a traditional performance, which the Sphere, you can't do that in Sphere.
I mean, occasionally they did a shot that was pulled back enough that you got a sense of that, what the wall was behind them. But that may have been an impossible task. I understand that, but I don't think that it made a big, I don't think that was the wow, now I got to go see it sort of effect.
100%. Like you said, having seen it, I'll just say, if you haven't seen it yet, it's better than you imagined by that performance.
Was literally in one of my ongoing Taylor threads last night. One of those was with a friend who was on the plane flying back from Vegas, who had gone to see it this weekend and was like, you have to see it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I was seeing that as I was seeing a sort of underwhelming version of it on TV, but I get it.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to dip into is the In Memoriam segment, which was like a 5-part suite last night.
And I'll just the subcategory is it didn't mean to, but it started off with Jimmy Buffett.
Right.
It's the B team in the control booth. I don't know what the hell that was. That was bizarre.
I feel like they keep trying to get more and more complicated with these things when what actually works is the simplest things. I mean, I just think they've lost any sense of how to shoot that segment, because you can't show the performer and the person being honored on the back wall simultaneously and make any impact. There's got to be an emphasis.
You can't choose to have someone be, the soundtrack and have them be the focus as well. It's wrong. I think it's wrong for the people who you're trying to pay tribute to, and it's unfair for Stevie Wonder.
Yeah,
to be, he's making a big show, and it's unfair to him, I thought.
For any of it, and I think spending. I mean, I understand, but if you're gonna do Stevie Wonder for Tony Bennett, Annie Lennox for Sinead, Fantasia for Tina Turner, and do full numbers for all of them, at that point, kind of do another separate show.
I agree.
I mean, to stop for multiple performances and productions, now, of course, all of those people are worthy of that and 10 times that. But you kind of have to pick your battles, to make that this sort of show within a show, and it's moving all around, and it's kind of celebratory and not, and you're kind of seeing all the other people and not, and then sometimes in between, they're just shifting to play the recordings and show them, full screen on TV. Yeah. But now it's a bigger honor for somebody, but we're not really going to see them. It just felt all over the place. And I don't think emotionally that's what you want in that moment.
Yeah.
Quickly, the one that's worth discussing is the Annie Lennox Sinead performance with Wendy and Lisa backing her.
I adore Annie Lennox, and I'm sorry that she's really not performing or recording much anymore. More philanthropic work is where she is these days. And it was clear to me that this was an important moment for her. She, I think, really loved Sinead and was honored, I think, to do that performance, and perfect to have Wendy and Lisa playing with her.
Yeah, it was a nice touch. She started off rough. I don't know if she started off in the wrong key.
Yeah.
I don't know if she started off too. But it took her a minute to sort of land with where she was going to do it. I don't think that. I mean, in some ways, that amped up the emotion of it a little bit. I was worried, for the first few seconds of like, whoa, is she really going to stay off here? Which may have been a monitor issue. I mean, who knows? But then I think once she sort of settled into it, I think that's the one of those performances that's gonna stick with people.
Yeah.
And as it should. But I think they gotta figure out what to do with the in memoriam stuff. And because as we know, it's not going to get easier.
Yeah.
More bigger icons will be dying over the coming years. And you're gonna have to decide if a couple of them go within the same year, what are we doing?
And how about what was it? 4 or 5 who had just passed this last
within the week.
Yeah.
Within the week. I mean, that was kind of extraordinary to see Melanie, to see Brian Wilson's wife,
Yeah.
And that isn't even Family Man Barrett, by the way, shout out, died that day of. He didn't even make it. Wayne Kramer. From the MC5, rest in power.
Yeah.
Was only a couple of days. There were, I think, 4 or 5 within the week who had passed, who they did get in there. Yeah. But it's a rough gig.
And I thought, there's always a couple of music biz insiders who are honored. Everybody who passed should be honored, except, wow, it seemed like there was a lot of people that most of America just wouldn't know.
It is the Recording Academy.
It is. Before we move on, I want to mention on the In Memoriam segment, I was crying half the night last night. There were so many great things happening. My friend Jim Ladd, a legend in rock radio, passed just about a month or so ago. And to see him make it into the In Memoriam segment meant so much to me. I met Jim through J.J. Jackson. He and J.J. were best friends. And the fact that he made it in really meant something to me, that the Academy decided to do that.
So that's the thing, that's what I'm saying. The executives are the behind the scenes people, for those who know and those who spent a career working around music with them. Yeah. It is still important.
It was great. Great.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So let's give you guys the last word on this. Let me read a few of these. Davian tweeted, I'm going to keep saying tweeted, it's not. Posted is the right word here. The joy was evident on Tracy Chapman's face. I loved that performance. And of course, Joni, she had me ugly crying. Didn't love the In Memoriam sequence, though. Thought Annie Lennox was amazing performing Nothing Compares to You. Miley's Flowers was excellent, too. Cheryl posted, what more can be said about the magical and memorable performances by Luke and Tracy, Annie Lennox with Wendy and Lisa, and of course, Joni with all the guests. Shout out to Trevor Noah. As we know from the Golden Globes, hosting these shows isn't easy, and he did a great job. So there's a plus for that. Mm-hmm. Our friend Christine, the whole show was a good balance of newer and more seasoned artists with respect to those before, while showcasing the present and future. Even the In Memoriam felt fresh and not maudlin, as many times it can be. Props to David Wild and company for a great night of music. Eric checked in with, the Tracy Chapman appearance with Luke Combs was so good. Best Grammy moment I can recall for some time. She looked and sounded fantastic and happy. So yeah, consensus on, I'm not even going to read. Everybody loved Tracy Chapman and Luke Combs. Everybody loved Joni Mitchell. Said before, a lot of people loved Miley. That seems to be of the newer performers. That's the one who our listeners responded to. Alan Seiler, Annie Lennox with Wendy and Lisa was pretty stellar. Devin, I enjoyed it. Surprised SZA didn't win more. Majorly surprised Taylor took the top prize. Not that she didn't deserve it. And more Tracy Luke, Miley. And finally, Matt saying the Americana Award deserves prime time.
All right. This is what we're about here. Thank you so much for reaching out to us at Sound Up. We love hearing from you, and you are a big part of what we're doing here. So we thank you for keeping in touch with us. A couple of other things we need to cover.
Couple of quick news items before we take it home here. News from Kerry King of Slayer, who of course plays on No Sleep Till Brooklyn on the License to Ill album, just to add that in there. Announced he will be releasing his debut solo album called From Hell I Rise on May 17th, joining the 59-year-old guitarist, 59 and making his solo debut. I just want to read the band names. Death Angel singer Mark Osagueda, longtime Slayer drummer Paul Bostaff, former Hell Yeah bassist Kyle Sanders, and ex-Machine Head and Violence guitarist Phil Demmel. The first single is out now, 13 tracks recorded with longtime Lamb of God producer Josh Wilbur. And asked why he decided to make this a solo rather than a band project, he said, "I didn't. It was going to be King's Reign for a long time, which is really cool. Even with that one, I went to the guys like, I'm not a vain dude. I don't want my name to be a part of it. We talked about Blood Rain for a while, but that didn't work. Every time I came up with anything remotely cool, it was taken by some obscure band in Eastern Europe. So it became Kerry King because I love that logo." So, I like that he couldn't clear copyright because all the Eastern European death metal bands have taken the cool names.
Gotta love it.
Finally, did you watch J-Lo on SNL?
Indeed, I did. Again, the two women I'm watching with, look at the abs on that woman. I mean, look at the all of the sort of references that she did. I thought were references to This Is Me and the new album This Is Me Now. The Ben Affleck stuff was great. She's amazing. I'm sorry. I think she's great.
The news angle on this performance is while she was doing her first performance of Can't Get Enough with Lotto and, damn it, Redman showing up as a guest. How about that? J-Lo suffered a slight hair malfunction. She was spotted ripping out an extension as she expertly executed her impressive dance moves. You can find this in the online universe. She did not miss a step as she pulled a piece of the hair extension out, tossed it to the side, made it look like it was choreographed all along. That is a pro.
The ultimate pro. It's so true. Really cool. And come on, her outfits, both of them. I'm not a fashion guy per se, but they spoke to me, both of those outfits. So,
and then super, super quick this morning, Bikini Kill just announced new tour dates with the iconic lineup of Kathleen Hanna, Toby Vale, and Kathy Wilcox, along with guitarist Sarah Landro, starting March 3rd in Mexico City, South America, Europe, but then coming back and starting in the States in August in Los Angeles, playing for about a month, wrapping up in Baltimore in September. So Kathleen Hanna's got a book coming out. So lots of Riot Girl in our future.
Very cool. Looking forward to that. You want to do some new music?
We should do some new music. Yeah, real quick. What's jump out for you this week?
We established we give one song new music, but that does not work for me. I got to go right away with brand new Frank Turner called Do One. He's got a new album called Undefeated, which he says is about growing old disgracefully. And Do One is the new single just out. Freaking awesome. I want to give a shout out to Paramore. Big night for them, of course, last night. But Burning Down the House from this new tribute album to Stop Making Sense. They did a great job on that song. Have you heard that, Alan? Their cover?
Yes, and you've seen the photos with Haley in the big suit.
It's right. It's freaking awesome. Kudos, big ups. Also, a band that we talked about quite a bit back in the day, the Delaware Water Gap, have a new single out with Holly Humberstone, a feature that's really good called Cigarettes and Wine. I love it. Nora Jones with Remy Wolf. Change, also a great record. And I got to shout out Kings of Queens, the documentary, which is coming out, the Run DMC story. I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know, Alan, if you know any more info on that.
3-part series on Peacock, I believe. I've just seen the trailer. I haven't seen any more than that. Looks great. They've been working on it for years, but that's all that I know. So I'm playing by the rules and only going with one, though I will back you up. I thought about the Del Water Gap and Holly Humberstone song, which I really, really do like, and I'm glad that you got that in there. I'm going to go with an album. I mean, I could just go with the single, but I think I'm a week late to this, maybe. But a woman named Sarah Jaros, who came up really through the Americana sort of bluegrass side and as a young virtuoso player and got some Grammys, bunch of Grammy nominations, Americana Awards. She has a new album called Polaroid Lovers that's really the most sort of pop thing that she's done so far. Much more produced, other drums and drum machines and, a full sort of pop production. And it's just really, really good. Runaway Train is the first single, so I could say that, but I will stand up for this album, which I've been enjoying quite a lot. And it's a really interesting, a super gifted musician. For those who want the crazy, flashy bluegrass playing, it ain't about that. But as a really strong set of songs and a really well-made record, Polaroid Lovers from Sarah Jarosz, Jarosz, is what I will go with for the week.
Really good.
So it's a big week in music history. What we're going to come back to on our second show later this week. 60 years ago this week, the Beatles landed in the United States, got off the plane at the newly renamed John F. Kennedy Airport, and everything changed. So we are going to be talking about 60 years later, why we're still talking about the Beatles, what we make of the Beatles from some interesting perspectives. Our good friend Jordan Runtaw, journalist and podcast host and Beatles scholar. Mark, it's going to be you to rein us in, because between me and Jordan, we could completely lose the plot on this. But he's going to be joining us. And then for a really interesting take on this, Dennis Morton, who is an instructor who has done multiple Beatles rides for Peloton. Peloton does these themed rides as a big
where we
thing,
are
a
with
big
the
way
Beatles.
People get music. I am actually really, really interested to hear what he has to say about how Peloton consumers, users, riders relate to this music and what he gets in putting these things together. I think 60 years later is actually a pretty fascinating piece of this ongoing and ever-evolving history. The Beatles, by the way, who won a Grammy last night for Best Music Video.
Yeah.
Do with that what you will.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the next show. You can be a part of the next show. If you want to be a part of our virtual audience, it's as simple as reaching out to us. Connect at sounduppod.com. Say that you want to be a part of the show, and we'll send out as many invitations as we can. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you listen to Sound Up on. That's going to help us to stay here with your help. And I'm looking forward to this discussion of the Beatles. Many thanks, by the way, to producer Roger Coletti for using Peloton and actually realizing that the Beatles are on Peloton. I had no idea.
Well, I need to stay in shape to keep up with you two guys. But I think it'll be really interesting because the way Dennis is kind of, in a lot of ways, half instructor, like half VJ too, because he's on this platform and he's introing this music while doing this ride. And it all has to kind of tie in, but he gives a lot of trivia in between all of this. So his knowledge of the Beatles was really impressive to me. And it kept this, and I'm like, wow, this is really an interesting, and you could tell this was a music guy,
So you're sweating your ass off, you're running, and this guy's doing Beatles trivia, and that works?
Well, I'm on a bike. I'm not running anywhere. But yeah, I'm pedaling and doing Beatles trivia, and it does work, it does. So I'll be interested to see what his take is on this, and really, a lot of what your take is on this, Mark, because,
I was there.
You were there. You were at JFK, actually, at the gate.
Once again, connect at sounduppod.com. That's how you can reach us, just to leave us a comment or a voice message, or maybe to be part of our virtual audience. So do write to us, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. That wraps it up. This is the first episode of the week for Sound Up. Thanks for being with us.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger Coletti, and distributed by Revolver Podcasts. Theme music by Smile from Tokyo. Get Sound Up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more information, email us at connect@sounduppod.com. We'll see you next time right here on Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light.